Hello and welcome back to YCFT. This week we are taking a look at Halloween Ends.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this film has been polarising.
Yeah.
This film has been really, really polarising.
It has.
And we just want to say, after watching it, by the time, because we did see this the night it came out, but I think by the time it comes out,
It'd be maybe like a week
maybe
or
about
two.
two weeks.
Yeah.
Just because we have a schedule we need to keep. Going into it, we always saw as, oh, it's weird, it's strange. Some saying, oh my god, it's a masterpiece. Some saying that it's ruined their childhood.
Bit extreme.
What we had no idea what we were going to go into.
No, I was so curious about it.
Yeah, and it's like, we really like Halloween 2018, and we feel like we're in the minority that really like Halloween
big fans
Kills.
Of Halloween Kills.
Like, Halloween Kills is a good film, guys.
I don't understand. We don't understand the beef.
We rewatched Halloween Kills before going to watch this.
There are worse films in the Halloween franchise.
Yeah, and wow.
Yeah.
We understand. All we're saying is we understand why some people might not like it, but we also understand why some people love it.
Yeah, I think
it's bold.
It is a bold move, especially for the concluding chapter in a trilogy.
Yeah,
it's very kind of not bewildering, the decisions that they came to, I guess, but it's ambitious for what they've tried to do. It is very intentional.
Yeah, obviously
it's everything with David Gordon Green and his Halloween
I think he's
trilogy.
done a very. It's like Halloween 2018 is more of a traditional slasher. It was more of a return to form. Like, they didn't even know if they were going to be able to make the two sequels they wanted to do until that film came out and did well. Halloween Kills messed with the town's relationship more with Michael and more almost like got more philosophical about it, which people didn't like.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people didn't like. Then in the third film, it's taken everything that people didn't like about Halloween Kills and made an entire film about it.
Yeah, the aftermath of Michael, the legacy of Michael.
Yeah. Isn't the power of evil over the town.
Bearing in mind it's set 4 years on from the events of
it was originally meant to be
Kills.
set almost the same night or a year later, but COVID pushed filming back.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't think the story would have changed.
No, I don't. I think I think they had a clear idea, I think, of what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is, I think what most people's complaint about it is it feels, as a standalone Halloween film, it works quite well, but as the end of a trilogy, it feels like an outlier. And I do kind of agree with that, even though I am fond of this film, I did enjoy it. It has taken literally sleeping on it to decide where I kind of stand on it.
Yeah. It's strange because, obviously we went into it spoiler free, but we've seen a few non-spoilery reviews from, other YouTube channels and general reviews, and a lot of people were basically saying, look, we don't know how we feel about it, we need to watch it again.
Yeah.
And at the time when I read that, I was like, wait, you know how you feel about after watching a movie. Like, you either liked it, you didn't like it. But now that we've seen it, I understand, because I also feel like I want to watch it again to pick up on a few more things.
Yeah. So, like we said, it's set 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills.
Yes.
Obviously, Halloween Kills was a bloodbath. They toned down the kills entirely.
Yes.
Michael's not been seen in 4 years. Laurie's we are minor spoilers in this. We don't want to.
We're not
we think this is
ending.
something. I think you have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way. I don't think this film should have went straight to streaming. Obviously it has streaming and cinema. I think
I kind of understand
to watch it at home, I think there's too many distractions. I think this is a film you need to see in the cinema to truly
agree with that.
Be sucked in. We saw at least one couple leave during it.
But
the rest of the screening was deadly silent. I could kind of like me. I was just sucked into what was happening on screen. It was quite a cool little experience for me.
It was a cool experience. It was quite a full cinema as well, which was great. A few people I saw in Halloween merch as well.
I mean, I was there literally in the mask.
We took our friend.
He came to the pub.
He did. He did. But yeah, I will always champion going to see a film in the cinema, 100%, always. But it's I don't think it's because they didn't have faith in the movie or anything like that. I like to think it was more just, thinking of the fans' financial climate. Not everyone can afford to go to the cinema.
Halloween Kills did really well with because that did the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that was peak pandemic. So I think the best way to describe where this film tonally kind of sits, for me, so Halloween 2018 is about Laurie still not quite getting over the events of 78.
Yes.
Kills is about the town reacting to Michael being back.
Yes.
The boogeyman returning. And Ends is almost like the town of Haddonfield is in the same position that Laurie was in 2018, but Laurie has now moved on.
Yes, so the town is experiencing the trauma that she once upon a time had.
Crime is rife, murder is rife,
Yes.
especially the town is infected with evil. That's it. There's a lot of philosophical things
Evil,
here.
Evil as infection is a
Evil
big...
didn't die that night.
No, it did not. But evil as an infection, something that can spread and mutate, is very much a big theme of Ends. But yeah, you're right. Like, Laurie, at the very beginning of this movie, she basically says that after the events of Kills, you know, spoilers for Kills, but losing her daughter, Karen, because Michael ends up killing her daughter, she decides then and there that she's going to make a decision. She's not going to live in fear anymore, and she's going to really, really make an effort to look after her granddaughter, who has become an orphan over the course of one night. She also lost her boyfriend, remember, as well.
And a lot of her friends.
And a lot of her friends. So Laurie, after Kills, she decides then and there, no, I'm not going to be the Laurie that I was. I'm going to be different, and I'm going to be a good, hands-on grandmother.
Yeah, she's trying to write a book.
Yes.
I think, like, another YouTuber that we really like, Dr. Wolfield, I put the films into perspective that I really like. You got to look at these... You got to look at them as 4 films, because you got to include the original film.
Oh, yeah.
Halloween 1978 is the prologue.
Yes.
Then the big chunk, the meat and potatoes of the story, is Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. Halloween Ends is the epilogue.
Yes.
It's a slow burn, a winding
down of events.
I don't think they could have topped the amount of kills that Michael got away with in Kills. Because
that was just carnage.
Let's be fair, these films are trying to be a bit more grounded with how they perceive Michael. He is an old man.
Yeah, and he took
a bit of a beating.
And
I think that's
Kills.
one of a lot of people's problems. Michael is not in this film very much.
That's another big thing. Yeah.
Personally, I didn't mind the portrayal of Michael, but we've not seen anything.
I didn't mind the portrayal of him.
Like it. Like, a lot of people have kind of compared it more to, like, almost Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 in the way that Michael is perceived. No, without the, Rob Zombie-esqueness of that film.
The dead mum and the horse.
Yeah, the white horse.
Yeah. Yes.
But the way that Michael himself is portrayed as more of a man.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. So we follow the opening and the ending of this film. Fantastic.
I thought the opening especially was like, it was really good. I was invested pretty much from the get-go.
Yeah. In our new character of Corey.
Corey Cunningham,
who babysitting one night. This is pretty well known.
I think so.
An accident happens.
An accident happens in this very rich, opulent house that he's looking after this little kid, this boy, for this very wealthy couple.
He accidentally Mr. Tavali's the child. Halloween fans will get that reference, but the child does not survive the night.
The child does not survive, and what is a shocking, like very visceral, accidental death.
Did you feel like because the kid plays a prank on him, locks him in the attic? Did you think that was a reference to Black Christmas?
Oh, or the attic.
Killer in the attic.
It could be, maybe.
Yeah, that's what
surprise me.
That's the vibe I got. Obviously, Black Christmas was a film that inspired Halloween.
Yeah.
That's where my mind instantly went to. So
then, that kind of just.
There's a great line in the film of your boogeyman escaped. So they made that they. I'm definitely gonna have to paraphrase. I can't remember the actual one, but essentially the town chose a new boogeyman,
but basically,
and that is Corey.
Because Corey, bless him, it was an accidental death. Corey, at his heart, is a decent guy, but the town vilifies him because there's a death of a child.
And this happens a year to the day that Michael came back.
Yes.
This is 2019 that this happens.
Yes. So, Michael, so Corey, he's obviously arrested, but they believe his story that it was just a terrible accident. And he's obviously, he's allowed back into Haddonfield to just carry on living his life. But obviously when you go through something like that, things are never going to be the same.
Yeah, the town never looks...
The town vilifies him. They look at him, like he's like
the
a
murderer. New Michael.
Like he's the new Michael. Yeah, exactly. And he struggles with that, obviously, at first. He doesn't have a lot of friends until he befriends Alison, Laurie's granddaughter, obviously, who obviously knows her own trauma. She knows what it's like to be looked at and, talked about.
They essentially become romantically entangled because of that joint trauma.
Yeah, that was one of the things, like, not to go into negatives, like, too early on, but I do sort of understand how Corey and Alison come together, but I also think that the relationship became very, like, not Bonnie and Clyde, that's the wrong phrase, but they became very, like, into each other very, very quickly, and in a way that was just a bit like, oh, okay. just a bit jarring to me,
Yeah.
maybe.
I
Like,
really
the
liked-
level of intensity they feel for one another.
I
was a
really
bit-
liked the portrayal of Laurie
Okay.
Strode in this one. I think Jamie Lee Curtis did a stellar job.
I don't think a lot of people do like the portrayal of Laurie.
But I've also seen a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
It's something that's the best in the franchise.
Yeah,
but
Jamie Lee is a great actress. Like, you can't
any
deny
scene
it.
that she's in, she's fantastic.
I will admit, for me personally, the thing is to bear in mind as well, we saw this film the day after we rewatched Halloween Kills. So my version of Laurie was, very fixed in my mind of, like, fighter Laurie, like, traumatized Laurie. And then we go and see this film, and the first image we see of her is where she's wearing a dress or a skirt, and she's got an apron on, and she's baking in her new kitchen. Like, there's something
she's moved
very...
to house that looks a lot like the house from Halloween 5.
Oh, it does. It does. No one seems to have picked up on that, but we agree,
Yeah.
right? It's definitely similar, if not the same house. But yeah, it's just, you go from seeing her in 2018 in Kills to this, tough, like, gruff woman, and then she's baking in the kitchen with pie, looking after her granddaughter. Oh, and Lindsay Wallace is over as well, because, she's one of the survivors from Kills. And it's just, like, a nice picturesque family scene.
I think it's like...
It's just a bit too jarring, like, that's the word.
It's difficult in our mind, because we've watched them so recently, to think this is 4 years on.
It is 4 years. A lot can happen in 4 years when you're dealing with grief and
established
trauma.
that she's been to therapy, she's been to AA,
She's making a conscious effort to change.
Because I think there's another issue with the film. She had her showdown with Michael.
She did, yeah.
In 2018. We know that they never see each other in Kills. But she kind of proved that she could stand up to her boogeyman. Yes, she then went and lost a lot more, but by making that active decision to move on, she's kind of proven to herself that she can fight this boogeyman. She's not afraid of him anymore.
Yeah. She's not afraid of him anymore. But then you also take into context...
I think there's larger themes of... Again, an aspect I know people didn't like from Kills was the Evil Dies Tonight, the mob mentality, which, let's be fair, that came out the same year as the January riots. Like, something that actively did happen.
Yeah.
In the States. Even Jamie Lee Curtis has said America could be a scary place to live in.
Yeah.
Like, with the state that Haddonfield is in, like, infected essentially by evil, is not the same Haddonfield that we see in 2018.
No.
The world, like, the town that she's living in is almost at this point more scary than the potential of this boogeyman coming back.
Yeah.
It's almost like he never really left.
Yeah.
So it's that thing of why be scared of this man when my home is now just as scary.
I suppose, yeah. Yeah. I guess you're right.
And maybe that's just like a broader take on what America's like.
Maybe.
Or certain areas of America.
Maybe. I mean, David Gordon Green's films are nothing if not somewhat social commentaries. Yeah. And an issue with Kills, I know, is people were like, it was too loud. It wasn't subtle in any way. It was, it was too much of a political commentary, Halloween Kills, and that's what people didn't like. But yeah, I think you're right.
I
There's
love
sprinkles of that in Ends. I love Halloween Kills too, but this is a very different film to Kill.
Yeah. So
deliberately so, and that's the key thing.
Corey's relationship with Michael.
This is, I would argue, the most controversial or divisive. I think it's more the way they portray Michael film.
Is an old man. Must be nearly 70 at this point.
Yeah.
He's beaten. When Corey comes across Michael, it's almost like, again, this scene is kind of in the trailer. The evil is passed almost from Michael into Corey, and Corey kind of like uses they're seemingly linked, and it's very unclear, I think, at the time how they are linked, because I think he subconsciously is fighting it. But essentially, it's like, did he get this evil fully from Michael? Because there's themes throughout Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills about Michael's eyes, like his dead eyes.
Black
and they do the kind of
Devil's
lock eyes. In a really cool shot where you see like two little lights in amongst the darkness of his eyes. And anytime you see Corey after this, I was looking for this, I noticed that same look in his eyes, and Laurie comments on that.
Well, Laurie sees it too. She sees
as
the
well.
Evil.
And it's like, but did Michael truly create this new evil, or did the town create this evil?
I think just based on the scene alone where Michael is hiding out in Haddonfield, and Corey stumbles across him, and there is a moment where they like lock eyes with each other. And then there's like that scene where you get that like what is it, like a montage of just like flashing images, scenes that's clearly like Corey is somehow psychically possessing that Michael is either willingly giving to him or subconsciously giving to him. That's what's not clear. But I think I don't mind that idea. I actually don't. That even if they're kind of teetering or teasing the idea that this is maybe something supernatural, that Michael is like giving him his
like
his evil.
the broader
I
evil
didn't
that Michael
mind
has
that.
sort of gave to the town.
I think
This is more of like a concentrated.
Yeah.
This film has far more in common with Friday the 13th Part 5, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and probably like something a bit closer to home. The ending of Halloween 4.
Yeah.
Because there's that line of evil's never truly gone, it just takes a new shape.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michael Myers is more known as he is the Shape.
The Shape.
At the end of Halloween 4, spoilers?
Many spoilers.
Hello, Rain. It shows Jamie.
Little Jamie.
Little Jamie with a bloody knife, assumingly killing her mother. Like we find out in the next one that she did survive. But temporarily, evil took the shape. It became Jamie. They didn't follow through with that in the next film. It's something that they've always hinted at, but this is the only film where they've actually followed through with that idea. Even like
evil
Friday
passing from one vessel to another.
couldn't fully commit to that storyline, and they hinted that several times. How they finally done it, and I think that's so interesting. I don't think a lot of people have clocked that this is actually a plot point that they've hinted at in the past before, that evil will just take a new shape.
Can I ask that in reference to Corey and Michael, in that moment where the evil is seemingly transferred, like physically and spiritually transferred, do you think that is Michael knowing he's beaten, like knowing he could realistically die soon? Do you think that is him willingly, like almost passing the baton over to Corey?
I think judging by how the film goes on, again, it's like, we never know what Michael's motivations are.
No, it's always... Yeah.
We know he's smart enough to like wrap up his wounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's more of like a...
He knows when he's beaten, he needs to retreat.
I think that's more of just a pure survival. I do like the whole, like, again, this links back to kills, and it's like the more he kills, the more he ascends. He has not killed on that scale since, and he is weak.
He is weak.
I don't think he consciously done it, because he is trying to kill Corey in that moment.
Yeah.
And they do clash later on.
Yeah.
But I like... It's that thing of, as a standalone film, this works really well, and it's a really interesting take.
Right.
But it's the end of a trilogy.
Yeah.
And the trailers, let's be fair, the trailers mainly only show stuff from like the last 15 to 20 minutes of the film. And that, I think that is a bit of a mismarket on this film's plot. But
agree.
Then again, without spoiling the story, how else would you market it?
Here's my thing, right? So I really like the Corey character. I think I love the actor that plays him. I can't remember his name. It's Rohan.
He was fantastic.
He was really good. I liked his arc up until a point.
Yeah, I know the point. We'll not spoil that.
No, we're not going to spoil it.
But there is a point where it's like,
Yes, but I think just this scene that we're talking about, where Michael and Corey have that initial kind of confrontation, and like the evil is goes into Corey, however way you want to interpret that. There's a shift, I guess, in Corey from that point on, and I think even though I don't mind the idea of Corey, and I don't mind the idea of like his relationship with Michael, and that he's aware, one of the very few people that's aware that Michael is around and still alive, I just don't I don't think they properly did the character justice from a certain point within the film.
Yeah.
I feel like Corey was ultimately a bit of a missed opportunity, and
it's like two movies in one almost.
It is a little bit, yeah. There's a definite shift, in the character.
But something I think a lot of people have kind of clocked is this film has more in common almost with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch than it does with the previous two films. The font, for example.
At the beginning,
the fact that it's
credits.
the third film.
That's the oddball.
That is the oddball. They hit, like, I said this when we talked about Halloween Kills, is that I think, because the main reason we're seeing this as the end of a trilogy is this is the end of Blumhouse's trilogy. They signed on they got the rights for 3 films. If they extend that, I truly think they're going to do a sequel to Season of the Witch.
Yeah, maybe.
Or go into doing an anthology series. Because we saw the masks in Kills. Obviously, the lack of Michael, something else that has in common. The more like...
Michael famously doesn't appear at all in Season of the Witch.
He's on the telly. Because they're watching Halloween.
I mean, Michael is in Ends, but he's not a main character in the story, arguably.
No. Evil it's kind of like breaking Michael down to what he was in the original film. When he wasn't even credited as Michael Myers, he is the Shape. And this trilogy has been very clear to credit him as the Shape, not as Michael Myers.
Yeah.
So I feel like they have almost been telling us all along that it doesn't end with Michael.
No, I agree.
But it does have a lot more in common with Season of the Witch, which I think, because people now kind of accept that Season of the Witch is actually a pretty good film.
It just needed a bit of time to settle.
In 10 or 20 so years, do you think people will look on this film in a similar way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's another reason why I just personally wanted to rewatch it, because, you know, there were so many things where you first watch something and you're like, wait, what? Okay,
Yeah.
like what? But when you actually watch it a few times and you properly let it digest, and then you think, oh, actually, yeah, like that actually makes a lot of sense for what the film is trying to do. And yeah, I absolutely see, there are lots of parallels to Season of the Witch, but this whole trilogy has been a tribute to the previous Halloween films
also,
in so many obvious ways, but a lot of subtle ways at the same time.
It's a homage.
It's a homage. I mean,
they've picked elements from all the Halloween films.
Like there's elements of H2O, you know, in 2018 especially. Like all of the films, the trilogy references pretty much all of the Halloween movies, even though they're not always canon. And so when it came to this film, I remember all of us we were thinking, well, what are they doing that's so strange? Like, why are people using the word strange and weird?
We get it. We get it.
But I was like, well, the only thing that's kind of left is that they haven't necessarily dabbled with, you know, a supernatural or a psychic connection, and maybe they will. And obviously, not to give away too many spoilers, a lot of it's kind of open to interpretation, I guess, if you want to think that there is something there or not. But yeah, it's this whole trilogy is a tribute to the previous films.
Also, I can't make the point
of obvious ways and subtle ways.
If you don't like this film, don't go after people who do like it. Because that's something you see all the time. Like, if we don't agree with something, just bear in mind, this will not be the last Halloween film. This is just the last of Blumhouse's.
Yeah.
Michael will be back in some incarnation.
Yeah.
And I will say, I do quite like, again, without any spoilers, because usually the Accards, like Malik Akkad and Mustafa Akkad's father, they had set rules with Michael.
Mm.
And with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, they were allowed to break those rules. That was the only time they were allowed to break those rules. And this time they've been allowed to break the certain rules.
Yeah.
Halloween fans will know kind of what that means for the character.
Yeah.
But if you're not happy with this ending, just wait a few more years and Michael will be back. But just let people, and if people do enjoy this film, just let them enjoy it. Yeah, I've got issues with it, and I actually do think I need to watch it again. But I appreciate the swing that they took. They to do something different in the 13th film in this franchise.
Yeah, you got to give it credit.
13 films in, there is no Halloween film like this one.
Yeah, and I love that kind of that knowledge.
The cinematography, the actual in filmmaking terms, like the cinematography, the camera work. It's incredible in this film. For what is still relatively quite a small budget franchise.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. I always think like Michael and his mask, especially, have never looked as good as they have during this trilogy.
I think James Duke Courtney especially has been a brilliant Michael.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed watching him. I mean, like his time to shine was 2018 and Kills. But he's been just, to me, like he's probably my favourite Michael. To watch, and I've always said he's never been scariest.
You said that like you weren't necessarily a Halloween fan prior to.
No, because
we've rewatched a few, and I think I've made you a Halloween fan.
I've always appreciated the original, and I never really had any interest, I guess, in checking out the sequels because I think I knew that the timeline was really skewed and stuff. But I never found Michael scary, and that was my biggest thing. And yeah, you know, the first film is quite tame. And, you know, it's a bit slow in parts, I guess. It's very much a
especially by today's standards.
By today's standards, yeah, but it's still a great film. But yeah, watching 2018, it's like, right, this is a scary Michael Myers. Like, yes, now I understand. Like, now I can get behind this.
I think since then we've then dabbled in, like, I think the ones we've watched together, we've watched 2, 3, 4, and 5.
H2O.
Actually, the only one we've not watched together is 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm holding off on that.
But we even rewatched the Rob Zombie ones, and I think even you can understand why some people do have an appreciation for those and the different direction they took in.
I didn't hate the Rob Zombie films at all.
Sam, don't say that on the internet.
I didn't. I actually didn't. Like, once you just get past the fact that these are different films, from visually and thematically a very different filmmaker than John Carpenter. It's like, well,
I think
just
for you,
embrace what he's done.
the worst
It's
for
like,
you
of
is
course
Halloween.
it's different.
Halloween 5, isn't it?
I fucking hate 5.
So do you place
I
that?
fucking hate 5.
I'm
I
gonna say
remember watching that
the
again.
only reason that like Resurrections is above 5 for me is because of Busta Rhymes. And like we said in the video, it's strange because when I was younger, I hated him.
Yeah.
But now I realize he's actually the best part of the movie.
That's the thing. It's like, I would be much more
You
inclined...
did finally watch H2O.
Well, I had seen it before. It had been a long time and I couldn't fully remember it. But then we did rewatch it finally recently, and I did love it. I think H2O is brilliant. I really like it a lot.
Mask is a bit.
Oh, the Mask is, well, yes. I mean,
That's
we could do a whole video on the Mask, the history of the Mask, and the evolution and the devolution of it. But
I think from 2018 onwards, obviously we see less. The Mask is very like damaged by this point, but from Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, the Mask is incredible.
Yeah.
So it's a hard film to review. This one, it's a hard one to recommend. We do enjoy it. I would have to say I place it at the bottom of this new trilogy.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's a bad film. I just think
it's not a bad movie at all.
2018 and Kills
it's
are more
different.
rewatchable.
Yes,
and I'm fascinated. I will own this because I want to rewatch it.
Yeah, I think it's both tone and pace are very different from what we've seen in the previous two, like the 2018 trilogy, and that's the thing that when I went into this movie, I was just thinking of 2018 and Kills, like they were so fresh in my mind, to then be like confronted with this, where it's not slow by any means, but it's different pace. We're 4 years on, so of course things are going to be different.
Yeah, this film makes me
I need to watch it again just
more
to kind of
interested.
absorb it properly.
Yeah, this film that makes me even more interested in what David Gordon Green's going to do with The Exorcist, because he's doing an Exorcist trilogy now.
Yeah.
And I am fascinated.
Yeah.
Because, in particular, because I know that got announced not long after they wrapped filming on this, and it's going to go straight to the streaming service that this has gone. They must have saw us and thought, this guy, there's something. This guy's got really something. I'm fascinated because let's be fair, the Exorcist sequels aren't fantastic.
No.
And I'm curious. I'm really curious to what he's going to do, and I think he's done a really interesting.
I think he's a great director,
and I hope, because I know a lot of people didn't like Kills, and a lot of people aren't liking this, and I hope that doesn't mean this entire trilogy is just shit on for years to come, because it's a very solid.
It is
collection of films. If you view them as 1 and 2 are essentially one long film because they're on the same night, and if you view the third one as a standalone film, if you try and view them as a trilogy, especially if you watch them all in a row, tonally, again, it's all over the place.
Yeah. But I also think that you've got to bear in mind that these films, like we said before, these films are nothing if they're not a tribute to what's come before. And when you go into End, which obviously we didn't have the luxury of knowing this when we watched it, but now we kind of understand exactly what he was trying to do, the correlations between this and Season of the Witch, how it is deliberately meant to be a bit of the odd one out. He was deliberately trying to do something different, maybe deliberately trying to provoke the audience.
When you look at the original trilogy, obviously,
when
Halloween 2.
When you consider it like that, it's different, yeah.
Sorry, I realise I have a problem with interrupting you constantly for all of our videos.
We get excited.
Yeah, we do. We just get excited. I only just caught that. When you look at the original trilogy, obviously, he wanted to include Halloween 2 in the timeline, but he didn't like the sibling thing.
Yeah.
He thought that limited it massively, so they got rid of it. But brought a lot of elements from Halloween 2, including a little bit of footage from Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Into Kills. So for Halloween Kills, or the second Halloween film in this franchise, it takes a lot from Halloween 2, obviously the setting and everything. This film takes a lot. This trilogy basically does mirror the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like,
it does.
It kind of only just occurred to me, like, from passing off all these references, like, yeah, it is literally exactly the same trilogy.
It is.
Just, in my mind, done a bit better.
Yeah.
And with more, obviously, like Season of the Witch has nothing to do with those other two. Halloween 2 is fairly weak. I loved it when I was younger, but upon rewatch as a bit older,
I'm not a fan of Halloween 2. I think I made that abundantly clear
in our video about it. Like, it's just a great homage to those 3 original films in this trilogy.
Yeah, definitely.
And it really fixes the one problem that everyone has with Season of the Witch, is there's no Michael. There's not much Michael in this, but Michael's in it.
Yeah.
I suppose, what other notes do you have? Because we have to talk about the confrontation, I guess.
Let's talk about the confrontation.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. In fact, to me, they had their confrontation in 2018. And that, to me, is why Laurie's managed to move on. I think the trailer shows too much of it. But obviously there is more to it, and I think it is really good. But just it feels out of place and almost not earned. And what kind of follows, which we're not going to spoil, I really like that. Like the actual ending part of this film.
Yeah, it's apt.
It's apt, yeah. I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that the final confrontation. I always wonder, like, the way it kills us, Michael actually doesn't care about Laurie. What would bring them back together? And I think you kind of got to think about it, but you can kind of see like how they've ended up back in this situation again.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
It's almost like, I'm going to say it's like Corey wanting to almost be the new Michael by later on in the film. That kind of does explain why Laurie would become back involved.
Yeah, because obviously...
It's like fate, in a weird way.
Fate. Well, that's always been a thing with Halloween, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, seriously, Laurie and Michael, with
fate.
If Corey had never been a part of this film, I don't think Laurie and Michael would have ever seen each other again.
Yeah.
Michael had no interest in going after Laurie. Laurie had no interest in going after Michael.
Yeah.
They were forced back together, almost like how they were forced back together in later films. Because they were done after Halloween 2. Even when they brought back Michael, they killed off Laurie off screen in Halloween 4. H2O, they forced these two characters back together again because of demand.
Yeah.
That's basically how this film ends. They are forced
Yeah.
back into the same house together, and they are made to fight again when they have zero interest in doing it.
Yeah.
But the fight is pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
She doesn't have all her weapons. She doesn't have the traps.
I think I will... No, again, no spoilers, obviously. It's not as brutal or as action-packed as the finale of 2018. So don't necessarily expect, a showdown on par with that. It's a little bit more, not stilted, but it's definitely not as... Yeah, it's not a huge ton of action. Which is absolutely fine. Again, like, I find it hard to talk about the ending until I've properly seen it again.
Yeah. I think we'll end up doing another video on this at some point in the future.
We were, like, revisiting it.
I feel like maybe at some point we might do one just looking at the trilogy as a whole.
My initial reaction yesterday when we came out of the cinema was I did enjoy it, but I think I'm more inclined to rewatch 2018 and Kills than I am to continuously watch Ends. And I think I still think that, I think.
Yeah.
I did like it a lot. I understand the concepts and the ideas. There's seems to be like the common theme of people that don't like it as much, of people saying, yeah, like what they were toying with was good, but what they actually did with it wasn't as good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think you can actively call this a bad film.
No, you can't at all. The acting
people are, and people will continue to.
Yeah.
Saying it's ruined your childhood is a bit much.
That's bollocks.
It's different.
Bollocks.
It's like
Halloween 5 ruined childhoods.
It's
okay.
Like horror franchises always fall into that same trap of, if they continue to do the same thing, people get bored of it and start to distaste it. When they do something radically different, it's pitchforks and torches. It's like, you can't win.
No, you can't win.
It's so difficult to find that.
Something different.
Yeah, it's so different to find that middle ground of doing something new, but also doing what people are familiar with, and it's a tricky thing.
Yeah, you have
to.
I
think they went into this. Part of the marketing has been this will divide the fans. They knew.
Oh, of course.
So I got to give props to like Blumhouse for allowing David Gordon Green to make a film like this.
It wouldn't surprise me if David Gordon Green went into Jason Blum's office and was like, right, the finale, this is our season of The Witch. This
is going to piss people off.
Yeah. And I think...
I can imagine he just went, yeah.
Here's the money, go.
The thing is, like, their films were always... Blumhouse's whole thing was like medium budgets, high returns.
Yeah.
Sometimes small budget, high returns. It's almost impossible for a horror movie not to make money. Yeah. So Blumhouse does tend to give directors a lot of freedom.
Yeah,
and obviously
absolutely.
This has been a big staple of them for a long time. Michael Myers is now in their logo.
Yeah.
Like their logo sequence at the beginning of the films.
Yeah, part of it now.
Because he's been such a big part of the past 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these were supposed to come out like one after the other, weren't they?
Which would have been interesting, like how different it could have been. What I also find interesting is that the split, even though this is literally just like within 24 hours of it being released, so like time will tell, obviously, how people look back on this fondly. But at the minute, the split of people liking it to hating it, it's not as clear cut as 50-50.
Yeah. Obviously, it's like always the people who hate it, their voices are much louder.
Yeah. But
I'm seeing a lot of people defending it.
It's always...
And a lot of people are also just like, look, if you don't like it, that's fine, but just let us enjoy it. There's very few people that are just down the middle.
Yeah, no one is. That's what I'm finding, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of love it or appreciate it.
Yeah.
Or hate.
Yeah.
It's really, no one's just like, it's okay. It's such a...
Yeah.
But I do love the conversation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shouting, but I also do, there are people out there who are just discussing it, which is interesting. It's been such a solid year for horror. And my one thing is, I said this in our Cheapest Creatures Reborn one, that Halloween Kills would absolutely have to tank to be a worse film, and I'm glad it is a good film. It's just different and strange.
It is different.
I kind of like it, and I appreciate the chance that they took with it.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that makes me respect it even more, and why you can't say it's strange as a criticism, is because that's what they wanted to do.
They've done what they set out to do.
This is their season of the witch. And I don't mean that in the sense, oh, this is sci-fi or anything like that. I just mean, like, this was always intended to be the odd one out.
Yeah. We want
this
to
was always meant to be the experiment.
Plug one of our previous videos here. Blue
yes,
Oyster
thank
Cult,
you for reminding me.
Blue Oyster Cult plays it like a...
We get two versions of it.
It's far too overused at this point.
Yes, but we did a video months ago, didn't we, about that song's relationship with horror films.
And it plays instrumentally when at a scene in a supermarket, and it plays during the credits of this one.
Yeah, the classic version.
But it's the lyrics are pretty apt to this film.
They are, but it's just
that's twice because we've had it in X.
It was in X. Yeah. So I think that immediately makes our video a bit out of date. But...
Yeah, massively out of date. I think there's other things that have happened to make that date. Do you have any more notes?
No, I don't think so on this one. Want to watch it again. But yeah.
I feel like we've talked for over half an hour without really saying a ton. I don't think it's definitely not an entry point for the Halloween franchise.
No, it isn't by any means. No.
I appreciate what he tried to do, and I will rewatch because I feel like I need to rewatch it.
To me, this is a strong trilogy.
Yeah. And I'm just so interested. Cause I'm not interested in Exorcist sequels. I'm now interested in what David Gordon Green does next.
Yeah.
And now especially... because that weirdness would work with The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And really cute. Because that's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a direct sequel trilogy to the original film. I really want to know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And obviously now he's free to work on it. Will Blumhouse keep the rights to Halloween now that it's over? Jason Blum said that they do have ideas if the Arcads want to work with them again.
Mm.
And I said, if they do, I think it'll be a sequel to Season of the Witch.
Mm.
Which I would love. I would love to see after how Season of the Witch ends. I want to see what the world would be like after that.
Yeah.
Even 40 years later.
Well, there's been a lot of nods, probably more nods to Season of the Witch than any of the other Halloween films in the trilogy.
Which is, I think it's apt because now our generation especially is appreciating that it's actually a good film.
You know, looking back
we might
on it
even
now,
be seeing it on Halloween.
You know, like when we look back on it now and we were like, oh, what's Halloween Ends going to be like? What's the plot? Why is it so polarising?
We got nothing right.
We should have clocked the third film.
The hints have been there.
Should have been reminiscent.
The hints have been there.
Because when you think Halloween 2, set entirely in a hospital, Halloween Kills, a large chunk of it set in a hospital. It's like the seeds were sown. We should have cottoned on that, maybe 3 is going to go kind of off the rails a little bit. It's going to be very much its own thing, anthology-like. We didn't get it. We didn't get it.
We were so wrong.
We were wrong.
We were so wrong. So yeah, Evil
didn't die that night.
Evil didn't die that night.
Evil doesn't die. It takes a new shape.
It takes a new shape. Check it out. We are so curious to see what people think of this.
Yeah.
So comment below what you think. Like, where do you stand on it? Again, if people do like it, leave them be.
Yeah.
Leave them be. If people absolutely hate it, don't try and change their minds because you're not going to change their mind. Just people need to discuss this film.
Your favourite
Halloween... I think that's what they want.
Yeah,
That's what the filmmakers want. It wants to be discussed.
Your favourite Halloween movie will be someone's least favourite. Remember that. Like, someone watching this, Halloween 5 could be their favourite. Just, that's the way it always is. And what a fun thing to have, for a franchise.
Yeah. The fact that this franchise is still going.
Debate it.
Friday the 13th, might come back, but it's pretty dead. Nightmare on Elm Street has
Yeah.
been dead for a long time. But the OG himself,
Yeah. Still
the
going.
Slash Rhinecod, he is still going.
Yeah. He's a bit old and grey, but he's still going.
Yeah. And James Jude Courtney, I got that right? James Jude?
James Jude Courtney. What?
I think he's done a stellar job.
Yeah,
And obviously
he
Nick
has.
Castle does return. I think he did return again to do certain scenes and do the.
He just had a cameo.
He's had a cameo, but he does the breathing.
He didn't kill. Does he still do it in this one?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
So it's been great seeing him be back into the fold as well. But I think James Jude Courtney, I think for this generation is the definitive Michael Myers.
Yeah, I would say James Jude Courtney is my Michael.
You got the movements down and
Yeah.
everything, and I'm kind of sad to see him done with that character now.
Yeah, same.
But
But
I think he's done a stellar job.
I think his legacy will be
And I think Jamie Lee
strong.
Curtis has been phenomenal
Yeah.
throughout this trilogy.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of the new characters introduced, some of the ones that they brought back. Again, it's just a love letter to those first three films. And a couple of years' time, we'll get a new. We will get a new. It's made a lot of money, this franchise. We will get a new Halloween, and I'm really
Yeah.
curious to see what they do with it next.
I agree.
So, is that us done?
I think that's us done. That's
Cool.
a wrap on
That's
Halloween.
That's a wrap. It's probably one of the longest reviews
Yeah.
without actually spoiling the entire movie. So, we'll see you next week, guys. Just go. Let us know, what do people think.
Yeah.
What do the people think of this? And if I've got my timings right, happy Halloween. I think I've got that right.
Happy spooky season.
Happy spooky season.